Good night, just to the professor, Dr. Dolphy Gilpin. And what I'm going to do tonight is to give you another version of the history of medicine with yours truly at 408 Madison St, Bklyn, New York, 1991 through to 1996. Now, with gratitude to the DCPL Public Library, that is the Decatur County Public Library in Georgia, who this picture that we're going to see of 408 Madison Street was derived. It was derived from that library. And it also commemorates the important and intrinsic part the library of in New York played in my medical research during that era. There were the Bklyn Public Library from the Central Library to many branches in and around Brooklyn there. The medical department at that time facilitate the books and help in the research. There was a Downstate Medical Center library that played an important role as well. And also there was the library in New Jersey that played an important role, the Fort Lee Library in New Jersey that played an important part in this medical study during 1991 to 1996. Let's get a more detailed look at it here. Now, here is 408 Madison Street, a present picture derived from the Decatur County Public Library, DCPL in Georgia. And with gratitude for this brings out some more intrinsic thing that was left out in our presentation. So with gratitude to the library. It brings out the library in the intrinsic role the library of New York and Brooklyn played in the medical research during that time as well. There was a Brooklyn Central Library medical depth and many branches throughout the Brooklyn Public Library. Also there was a Downstate Medical Center Library, medical library, and there was a library in New Jersey facilitating, which was close to the Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center where I was doing the Columbia Presbyterian leg of the medical studies. But let's look at something here. Right here is 408 Madison Street, and there are actually five parts. Only three is visible, 1, 2, 3 visible. But there's one more up here, the attic, ATT, representing the attic, that is not visible. But there's an attic upstairs here where you have the black. There's an attic behind here, and the windows are to the back. The windows are to the back, and it's like a studio. A one bedroom studio with bathroom and a little area for kitchen. But the rest are big with 2 bedrooms and living room and all of that. So 1, 2, 3 is visible, and there's one here, and then there is actually underneath where you have the electrical, the boilers and all of that. So there are 5 departments here in this building, and 4 of them at that time were used for living. And where the boiler was just it wasn't fixed up, but I guess these modern people, as they have fixed it up. Well, this little shed wasn't here, that covering here wasn't there during my time in 1991 through to 1996. Also, during 1991 to 1996, here, when I reached here, there was my phone, and those who can do research, New York telephone, white pages, you will see that there was a Dr. Gilpin Dolphy phone register while I was here, Dr. Gilpin Dolphy. I checked it out one time there, and the history still showed it, Dr. Gilpin Dolphy. white pages of the New York telephone back in the time here, 1991 through to 1996. About 1994, 95, you'll find Dr. Gilpin, Dr. Gilpin Dolphy, phone with a New York telephone right here. So like I said, here I was at Columbia in the attic and coming down to the third floor. I call this for the third floor, that there'll be no ambiguity, and this one the second, and this one the first. So here I was at Columbia College of Physician and Surgeon, Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center, 168th Street and Avon Place, right up in the attic and right here on the third floor. And the library that helped me, there was the Columbia Library and also the library in Fort Lee, New Jersey, which was just a short distance away from Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. And what had happened is that some of my books, I couldn't, I bought one book there for $100 and something dollars. So general medicine and surgery for $100 and something dollars, but there were 2 editions, and I couldn't get the second edition, and so I found the second edition at the Fort Lee Library in New Jersey, which is just a short distance away from 168th Street and Avon Place. So that's a library that helped me in my medical research. So whenever I came down here to the third floor, and each time I moved down, I simultaneously owned the section. So when I moved on to the third floor, I was owning here the attic and the third floor. When I moved on to the second floor, I was owning the attic, the third floor, and the second floor. There was always some tenancy in the first floor, and they left in 1996, just before I was the last person to leave out. They left, and I leave because some real estate, so there were some changes, some real estate. I didn't know what was happening, and they actually forced me out. I think there was a plot. In this world, there was a lot of envious and jealous people, and there was a plot, family-wise and all, and they actually drove me out. I couldn't really bother to take any more harassment, so I left here, and that's when I went to UHWI on the island, and they did me a worse thing. I was actually nearly murdered on the island over medical licensing after doing all this work here, nearly 7 years of medical research. And so I returned back nearly, 2014, after they dismissed my case. And I vowed not to return because they actually almost killed me over envy and jealousy. Because their data on me was fairly inaccurate. So here was the spot where I started out, 1991 to 1996, and prior to 1991, 1996, I was at Broward County Medical Center in Florida and Broward General Medical Center in Florida. One was in Fort Lauderdale and one was in Hollywood, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I was at both of them, and I did mostly radiology study and respiration therapy study. And what happened, I left because I really wanted to stay in Florida, like the weather and everything. I had a car accident in trying to come back to Bklyn here to pick up some instrument that was here because my family was down here at the bottom. Yeah, my family was down here at the bottom at that time. And I had some instruments down here. I was returning to pick it up, and my car crashed in Dixie and then in South Carolina. And so I came back to Florida, and then afterwards, while the trial was going on, for me to get some money, because down in South Carolina, a car ran into my back and almost hit me over the precipice there. So, and hit me down the precipice, it actually did. The car was written off, I didn't even bother to go back for the car. I was seeing a chiropractor and all of that. But anyhow, this was where it all happened. And I've had this little digital thing here to show that We don't hardly ever use that big sphygmomanometer anymore to measure blood pressure, but there are these digital phones that can just measure blood pressure. And this is representative of my phone here that I had registered to Dr. Gilpin Dolphy while I was here. No, there was medical sign here and here. And you could see that in the written up section. In the written up section, you could see that. So I'm going to take a break here and return. With gratitude to the DCPL, the Decatur County Public Library, Barbara Road branch, for this picture of 48 Madison that I could actually research back and show you the history of my medical research here in Bklyn, New York.